Tonight on the region's biggest school district and remote learning, we are live with details.
And tonight will be the coldest night of the week. How low those temperatures drop in my Weather Authority forecast.
So this Bengals fan did it. We're going to meet him and visit the house that's as ready for the playoffs as the Bengals are.
Breaking news alerts and the Weather Authority forecast. This is Local 12 News.
Good evening. Breaking news as we come to you tonight about the Cincinnati Public Schools and virtual learning.
Yeah, this is because they are losing so many staff members left and right now due to this latest COVID surge. And after another long meeting, they have made a decision. Cassie Arson is live at district headquarters in Corryville. And Cassie, what did they decide?
Kyle, district-wide remote learning from January 12th, so that's going to start in 2 days, and end January 24th, but they will reevaluate at that time and make sure that they have enough staff for these students to get back to school. Because remember, this whole issue started because of a staff shortage because of COVID-19. Now, there was also a survey sent out to families. They got 10,000 responses from students, teachers, as well as families in the district, and the majority said that they wanted a district-wide remote learning option, not school-by-school remote, which is what we saw last week when they had 8 schools go remote because of these staffing shortages. So how did we get here? I have a few numbers and figures to kind of break this down for us. And the first one is that as of Thursday of last week, there was 786 staff absences. And you got to keep in mind, there's only 527 substitutes. And the district has been shuffling teachers and specialists to cover classes. And get this, they've been using bus drivers who were filling in as security. Not to mention, the district is down 23 nurses. So while many board members agree that students learn better in the classroom, it's not clear if students learn better with substitutes or less qualified volunteers than full-time educators. Now, one student tonight in public comment verbalized how the staff absences are disrupting students.
I think it would be better that we go remote for a few weeks, or at least until the staffing issue is resolved. Because I've had a teacher out, my friends have had a few teachers out. Please consider that.
Sounds like what's happening is that the administration is spending a tremendous amount of time and effort to shuffle people around just so we can say we're keeping the schools open. And, you know, 2 years ago, teachers were heroes. Today, anybody can do their job.
Now, last week, as we saw, the board was very indecisive. Tonight, that message was clear. However, the board did recognize they could still be in the same position 2 weeks from now because of this ever-evolving pandemic. Reporting live, I'm Cassie Arsenal, Local 12 News.
A big decision there at that board meeting tonight. Cassie, thank you so much.
Now, of course, the Cincinnati Public Schools aren't the only ones dealing with staff shortages. COVID cases among the staff is forcing the Gallatin County schools to close for the rest of the week. Also, the Laughlin schools, they're remote only tomorrow, and they'll decide tomorrow about what to do the rest of the week.
And despite the surge, medical experts believe we will start to see a decline in cases nationwide by the end of the week. The decline is expected to first be noticed on the East Coast. More than a quarter of U.S. hospitals are struggling to take care of this crush of patients.
We have more COVID patients than we've ever had before, but we also have less staff to take care of them.
And since children 5 and under are still not eligible to be vaccinated, the CDC is urging parents to make sure family and friends that are near their children be fully vaccinated.
Beginning Saturday, insurance companies will be required to cover the costs of up to 8 home COVID tests a month. The Biden administration's new policy says Americans will be able to get either a test kit for free or submit receipts for the test to get reimbursed. So that means a family of 4 could be reimbursed for up to 32 tests a month. Only tests purchased on or after January 15th will be reimbursed.
More breaking news tonight in Corryville. Take a look at this. This is what is left of a 2-vehicle crash on William Howard Taft just before Auburn Avenue. It happened just after 8, and Cincinnati police say that 2 people were taken to UC Medical Center with life-threatening injuries. That portion of Taft between Highland and Auburn Avenue has been closed for the past few hours and is expected to remain that way for possibly another hour. Well, the cost of pre-kindergarten programs for every 4-year-old in Kentucky would be covered under Governor Andy Beshear's proposed budget. That plan includes $2 billion in additional funding over the next 2 years for pre-K through 12th grade. The governor is linking his education spending to development. He says the Commonwealth needs a workforce that can support the more than $11 billion in new corporate investments there.
There are still plenty of questions tonight after a stabbing that left a woman and 2 children dead last night in Richwood. Boone County deputies spent the day collecting evidence from the apartment where it happened. Monique Pina and her 2 daughters, 12-year-old Nikki Romero Pina and 3-year-old Kate Farrell Pina, are dead. Matthew Farrell, who is the father to the youngest girl, is recovering after being flown to UC Medical Center with stab wounds. Investigators say they are not looking for a suspect, meaning either the mother, who is now dead, or the father to one of the girls carried out this attack.
Quite honestly, we don't know that yet. There's a lot to unpack in this particular case. We do have 3 that are deceased and we have 1 that is still living. Now, Matthew is fully cooperating with our detectives in the investigation, and we're just going to need some time to put this entire thing together. There's a lot of forensic evidence that needs to be collected and processed at varying labs that will likely tell a story.
The older girl was a student at Gray Middle School. Counselors are being made available to her fellow students.
After almost 20 years, there is now proof a Delhi woman is dead. A bone found in an SUV pulled from the Ohio River near Aurora in October is that of Stephanie Van Wyn. She and her 2 children disappeared in April of 2002. She left a note saying that she intended to kill herself and her children by driving into the river. DNA testing confirms a leg bone found in the SUV is Wyn's. Since no other remains were found, the children are still considered missing. Once the weather improves, divers will return to the river to search for their remains.
A local family is suffering a double dose of damage. Their 2 log cabins go up in flames, and investigators say it was no accident. In fact, the culprit was caught on camera just weeks before Christmas, but 1 month later, there's still no arrest. As Local 12's Luke Jones reports, they are hoping that could finally change this week.
Eerie images. A man traipsing through Amber McKinney's Adams County property December 13th with what she says is a can of gasoline. Look closely and you'll see a burst of light, and moments later, flames.
He was pure evil. Pure evil. He never looks back, like he has no care in the world.
The early morning blaze destroys a log cabin dear to McKinney's fiance. That's because it once belonged to his grandmother.
We were just happy that we were able to have this and to keep this in the family.
Feet from the old, the new cabin the family had spent the last 5 years building.
Literally built this cabin by hand.
Now reduced to ashes.
As soon as we found out that 2 of them had burned down, we knew that this was arson.
The timestamp on the camera says it happened sometime before 1:22 a.m. The McKinneys were at their main home at the time. Not that they think that made any difference to the alleged arsonist.
I really think that he was angry enough that it wouldn't have mattered if anyone was in there.
Can you think of any reason he'd be angry enough to do this?
I cannot think of an exact reason, but
a reason why someone would destroy a child's things, a family's dreams, and a community's peace of mind. But from these ashes, 2 new cabins will rise.
After talking and seeing how much this means to our daughter, we've decided that we're building back bigger and better.
In Adams County, Luke Jones, Local 12 News.
The family's insurance company is now offering a $2,500 reward for information that leads to an arrest and conviction. Anyone with information should call the state fire marshal's office.
The way this week is starting, there is absolutely no doubt it's winter.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to want to bundle up the kids for sure in the morning. Chief Meteorologist John Gum has details and no wait weather. John.
No doubt it's winter. Yeah, I mean, we'll have wind chills tomorrow morning, flirting with the single digits in a lot of spots. Today's high 31, 8 degrees off the normal pace there, 16 this morning. Tomorrow morning will actually be a little bit colder in most communities across the tri-state. 22 degrees tonight. Skies are clear. Winds out of the northwest at 9. That gives us a wind chill of just 12 degrees now, and you'll see we've got spots in the teens already. Connorsville, Brookville, Indiana, already down to 19 degrees tonight, 20 out in Peebles. Even Crittenden has dipped to 19 degrees this evening, and skies will be clear right on into tomorrow morning. Wind chills down into the single digits, low teens for lows overnight. And yeah, we're going to get off to a sunny but cold start for your Tuesday morning. Coming up here, we are talking some warmer weather, though. Temperatures are on the rise, but we're also tracking some rain and snow to go along with that. We'll have the timing of the arrival of the rain and snow coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
All right, John, thank you so much. Well, tributes continue to pour in tonight following the death of actor and comedian Bob Saget. The Full House star was found dead just yesterday at an Orlando hotel. He was 65. Here's Jamie Yukas.
Authorities say comedian Bob Saget had failed to check out of his room at the Ritz-Carlton Orlando Sunday. After his family had been unable to contact him, hotel security found the 65-year-old comedian lying in bed, face up, and not breathing.
What's going on there?
We have an unresponsive guest in a room. My officer is telling me that there's no pulse.
A preliminary investigation found no signs of foul play or drug use. Saget had performed near Jacksonville the night before, tweeting in the early hours Sunday, "Love tonight's show, appreciative audience."
Girls, I am taking all three of you out for Father-Daughter Day.
Known as America's Dad, Saget played Danny Tanner, a widowed father raising 3 girls on the hit comedy Full House.
Sometimes you're so corny.
He was also the first host of America's Funniest Home Videos.
Thank you. I really didn't expect that response.
And later, also the invisible narrator on the CBS hit How I Met Your Mother. In addition to his wholesome TV image, Saget was also known for raunchy and sometimes dark humor as a stand-up comedian.
But we made these children, my wife and I.
TV comedy legend Norman Lear considered Saget a friend.
Do you think he was always meant to be a comedian?
He could have been anything. It's our good fortune that he stumbled into comedy.
In a recent interview with CBS's Dr. John LaPook, he reflected on grief after the loss of his sister.
Humor is the only way my family survived.
Humor he had begun to develop at just 4 years old.
I would dance in the living room and just start dancing stupid. I've got to perform. I've got to make people laugh.
The coroner completed his autopsy today. The investigation is still ongoing and can last up to 12 weeks to complete. Meanwhile, Saget is survived by his wife and 3 daughters. Jamie Yukas, CBS News, Hollywood.
Well, a deadly fire in New York puts a spotlight on fire dangers during the winter season.
Coming up next, we have some tips to protect your family, and Bengals wins, they are most definitely good for business. We're going to tell you just how good they really are.
And speaking of the Bengals, check this out. We're going to meet the man behind this house that's bathed in orange and black. It's more than color. You got animals running through. This is amazing. We'll show it to you. We'll be right back.
Let's suit up.
The fire doors that weren't working properly contributed to a fire that killed 17 people, including 8 children. It started on the 15th floor, and because the doors didn't contain the smoke, it spread quickly to other floors. The high-rise is too tall for fire escapes. It started with a space heater, and most fires that start that way are preventable. Mandy Gaither has some key tips for you tonight.
In a span of a week, 2 deadly fires in the Northeast combined more than 30 people killed, dozens hurt.
There are about 1,700 fires each year as a result of space heaters.
The fire in the Bronx appears to have been sparked by a space heater. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is working with local authorities in New York to determine if the heater was defective, but safety advocates say they must also be used properly.
They should be kept on a flat surface so they don't tip over, and plugged directly into the wall outlet, not into an extension cord.
You should also keep space heaters 3 feet away from anything that can burn. Choose one that has a thermostat and overheat protection with a seal from a qualified testing lab and automatically shuts off. Turn them off and unplug them when you leave the room or go to bed. There are other home fire dangers as well.
Just in the first 9 days alone of 2022, the Red Cross has responded to more than 1,600 100 home fire emergencies across the nation.
The best way to protect your family: install smoke alarms on every level of your home, test them monthly, and change the batteries at least once a year. Have an emergency plan and practice it.
Making sure you've got 2 ways to exit every room in your home. You want to select a meeting spot for everybody to gather that is a safe distance away from your home.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The American Red Cross also says to make sure your children know what a smoke alarm sounds like and that they know what to do if they hear it.
Surfing the internet at an airport will get faster next week, except at 50 U.S. airports. The FAA is restricting the new 5G spectrum at some of the busier airports. Airlines complain that it could interfere with aircraft instruments. The restrictions are in effect for at least 6 months. Most of the airports used by tri-state travelers, they're not affected. The closest is Akron-Canton.
This is the Maya Angelou Quarter. It's part of the U.S. Mint series honoring American women. It's going to be available later this year through 2025. One side shows the late poet with her arms raised in front of a bird in flight and a rising sun. The other side, that's the head side, is a portrait of George Washington to mark his 200th birthday.
Another local restaurant is closing in part because of the pandemic. Chef Christian Gill says January 23rd will be the last day for Boomtown Biscuits and Whiskey in Pendleton. He says the circumstances plaguing the restaurant industry over the last 2 years just make it impossible to stay in business. The Union, Kentucky location will remain open.
Winning is very good for business. The Cincinnati Bengals can attest to that. The team is enjoying the biggest increase in attendance in the NFL this season. 135,000 more fans visited Paul Brown Stadium this year compared to 2019. Last year's numbers were skewed because of limited seating. In 2019, the team won just 2 games. This year, 10, in a much anticipated home playoff game this Saturday against the Raiders.
Celebrating the season's success, a local man is showing his orange and black pride in such a big way across the whole front of his house.
And you don't even have to get out of your car to appreciate the show of support for the Bengals. Brad Underwood takes us to the big show.
Welcome to the jungle. In Claremont County, that is. This Bengals projection show is Keith Moeller's latest creation.
I see it on the buildings, why can I not do it on my house? And I started looking at different companies, and I started creating my own designs.
His Christmas projection display came first. It took him hours to map out. It was such a success, he thought, why not?
Why not us?
Why not swap out that red and green for Bengal, orange and black, paying tribute to the newly crowned AFC North champs.
You have to actually project or map out every single detail on the house before you can, so you know where to put each and every item on the house, such as the tiger or the movie playing in the screen or where the jungle comes out at.
Moeller says people love it and they drive by nightly to check it out.
People stop, they sit. You'll have probably about 7 to 10 cars lined up during the night, just stopping and going. And they really enjoy it. We have a Facebook page, and people leave leave us reviews on it, and it's just been fun with it.
From the rolling video highlights,
this guy is changing Cincinnati,
to the jungle vines and roaring tiger. The show is pretty cool.
I am a big Bengals fan. Born and raised in Cincinnati all my life. It's great finally seeing Cincinnati on the map again, and I can't wait to see what happens in the playoffs.
In Batavia, Brad Underwood, Local 12 News.
And if you want to see that show in person, we have directions on how to get there at local12.com, because that's the question everyone is asking right now. Who's coming with me on the road trip?
I love that.
Batavia, you go 32 east to Keith.
That's right.
I went to high school with Keith. Keith is a creative genius. I've known him for a long, long time.
Looks like a good time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I get projection mapping, but on an amateur level, how he was able to do that with so much motion.
A lot of time,
I don't even want to know.
Job.
Yeah.
But I do want to know what the forecast is going to look like the rest of the week.
Well, it's going to be pretty cold to start the week, then it's going to warm up. I want to talk about the Bengals, though, right now.
Let's do it.
You know what? Today is the 40th anniversary of the Freezer Bowl.
I read something about that, yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk about the Freezer Bowl. 40 years ago today it happened. January 10th, 1982. The kickoff temperature 9 degrees below zero for the freezer bowl. The wind chill on today's scale, 37 degrees below zero. Now, back then, the wind chill scale was different. So back then, it was reported as 59 below zero. But since they've adjusted that scale, either way, it is the record coldest wind chill of any NFL game. This was incredible. And I remember watching this on TV thinking, I'm glad I'm not there. But I know a lot of you were, and a lot of you had a good time as the Bengals won that one. Hey, take a look at our forecast as we go through the next few days here. It's not going to be that cold tomorrow morning, no, but we'll be dealing with single-digit wind chills on your Tuesday morning. No big weather issues this week until Thursday when we see a little bit of a light wintry mix move into the area. That's some rain and snow showers. That shouldn't cause too many issues other than wet roads. And then as we turn our attention to Saturday, we could get clipped by an Alberta Clipper type system that could bring a little bit of accumulating snow to the area, maybe for that big Bengals playoff game on Saturday. Outside tonight, clear skies 22, northwest winds at 9, a wind chill of 12 degrees. And those wind chills flirt with the single digits tomorrow morning. Could be around 9 there at 5 o'clock in the morning with temperatures in the low teens. We'll climb into the low 30s tomorrow. Sunny blue skies throughout the day tomorrow. Those temperature readings similar to what we saw today. So no big weather issues tomorrow except for the cold. Wednesday we get breezy and we get warmer. We push highs back into the 40s Wednesday, but then some rain and snow showers arrive on Thursday. Friday quiet. Saturday the day that could bring a little more snow. Here's that system on Thursday coming through in the afternoon. Again, a dry start to the day, but some rain and snow showers push on through into the afternoon, exit in the evening, and it's going to bring a little rain into the area, perhaps some flakes of snow mixing in. No big roadway problems, although you'll have to watch the bridges and overpasses by Thursday night as temperatures begin to drop. Saturday, another system moves our way. One model has this thing coming right over top of us. Even if that happens, it doesn't look to be a big snow. Another model takes this thing just to the southwest of Cincinnati, kind of has this on the fringe of it, but we'll keep an eye on it here. This is the first model, late Friday night into Saturday. There's your touch of snow moving across the tri-state, so that Bengals game could be cold with temperatures near freezing and some snow showers around the area. Let's show you the rest of the 7-day forecast. We're talking 30s tomorrow, sunny and cold. Filtered sun on Wednesday, breezy and warmer. 46, and there's the rain and snow showers Thursday with the dry Friday and perhaps a little snow there on Saturday, quiet Sunday, and perhaps a little more snow about a week from today as the temperatures there into early next week trend again colder than normal around here. Normal high would be around 39.
All right, bundle up, folks.
Far from a freezer bowl. All right, Gary's next with sports and that countdown to the Bengals' first playoff game in 6 years. Zach Taylor talks about what it was like waiting for the end of the Raiders game to find out who he'd be playing.
The Local 12 Sports Report, sponsored by Prime Lending.
The Bengals didn't find out who they'd be playing or when in the playoffs until after midnight this morning. Imagine what that was like for Zach Taylor, watching that wild seesaw overtime game in Las Vegas, not knowing if he had to get ready for Bill Belichick and the Patriots or those Raiders for the Bengals' first postseason game in 6 years.
In that moment, I'm like everybody else. You know, it is kind of a back and forth on who you potentially be playing. I kept telling myself just go to bed and wake up in the morning and figure it out from there, but of course, I couldn't do that. I had to sit there and watch the whole game like an idiot. And so here we are. We're playing the Raiders, and we'll get ready for them.
Bengals are early 6-point favorites. All 7 players that went on the COVID-19 reserve list last week have been reinstated. That certainly reinforces the favorites' role. Now, there's cold, and then there's you want to catch your death of cold? Today marks the 40th anniversary of the Freezer Bowl. Riverfront Stadium hosted what is still the coldest game ever played in NFL history. Air temp -9, wind chills -37. So, John, snow showers and 20 Saturday? That's T-shirt weather, if not bare-chested. Brian Flores was 13 months old when the Freezer Bowl was played. He and 3 other coaches have been fired since the regular season ended Sunday. That included Mike Zimmer in Minnesota, who was hired by the Vikings in 2014 after serving 6 seasons as Cincinnati's defensive coordinator. Up next, the Miller Minute, remembering when hiring Zach Taylor seemed like another in a long line of Bengals missteps. Biggest upsets in college football playoff history, but the Bearcats could have been in Indianapolis tonight. Luke Fickell was there as a guest analyst, but as expected, the championship came down to the top two seeds, Alabama and Georgia. A field goal game until Georgia finally reached the end zone near the end of the third quarter. Zamir White carrying it in. They led 13-9. Suddenly the offenses opened up. Bama responded with a field goal and TD, only to have Georgia just answer that. It's 19-18 in the fourth quarter. Now time for the latest Miller Minute. The Broncos fired Vic Fangio Sunday. 3 years and 1 week ago, John Elway met with Zach Taylor with a chance to hire him. The Broncos are now the only NFL team to go 6 straight seasons without reaching the playoffs after winning a Super Bowl. The Cardinals also interviewed Taylor that day. The quarterback coach for a Rams team that went on to reach the Super Bowl. Cliff Kingsbury ended up getting Arizona into its first postseason since 2015, so it's time to give the Brown family credit. Reputations are hard to break. As recently as 2017, the cheap label was still valid, allowing franchise cornerstone Andrew Whitworth to walk away. Picking high didn't prevent draft disasters like Cedric Ogbuehi, John Ross, or Billy Price. But in 3 short years, Zach Taylor has spearheaded a near total roster turnover, and none of it would have happened without the progressive thinking of old school Mike Brown and the Blackburn family and their commitment to see it through. The courage of their convictions coming around quickly and seemingly just getting started.
Killing it at the box office for the 4th weekend in a row. No Way Home is the #1 film in the country. Spidey brought in another $33 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $668 million. In case you were wondering, that's the 6th highest total in film history, surpassing Titanic.
I mean, sometimes you just want something fun, though, right? That's probably what it is.
Spider-Man. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Good
Sleep
night.
well.